Good morning. Good morning, PT on Ice. Welcome to the PT on Ice Daily Show. My name is Dr. Alexis Morgan. I am one of two of the lead faculty for clinical management of the fitness athlete, pregnancy, and postpartum. I'm really excited to be on here today for this Labor Day. Because guess what we're going to talk about? We are going to talk about labor. I couldn't quite pass up the opportunity to discuss labor on Labor Day as pregnancy and postpartum faculty. So you can hear it. I'm kind of cracking myself up about it, but I hope you enjoyed this episode on your holiday or wherever it is, whenever it is that you may be listening to this. So it is Monday, and we are going to dive right in. So first of all, we've got quite a few upcoming in-person courses in Georgia, Arizona, North Dakota. So hop online to check those out. We've got Fitness Athlete Live, cervical and lumbar spine, and extremity management all coming up in the next weekend here in September. We've also got several of our online courses starting. The Fitness Athlete Essential Foundations, Rehab of the Injured Runner, and tonight we begin Fitness Athlete Pregnancy and Postpartum. So today's the last day to sign up for the course. If you are interested, we would love to have you. There are still a few seats available. Snag those and you can hop into this 8-week cohort. So let's talk about labor here on Labor Day. Labor is such a big event for individuals who are pregnant. And oftentimes that is one of the biggest things that the woman is preparing for throughout her pregnancy. And if you've been in the space on social media with pelvic floor therapists or therapists that are working with female athletes, you'll often hear kind of this gripe that they need to be preparing for what's happening after labor and not just during that labor piece. And while I understand the sentiment that labor is a small time point, and postpartum and the several weeks postpartum come with a lot of their own challenges, while I understand that sentiment, especially for people who are pregnant with their first, it is impossible for them to think beyond this event called labor, because it is such a big event. So many things do occur. This has never occurred to them before. And unfortunately, many pregnant individuals are hearing stories from people who have given birth. And for whatever reason, people only share the really bad stories. So they're really concerned, and there's a lot of fears involved around labor and delivering and giving birth. And so while we want them to be able to be successful during their postpartum phase, part of that is preparing them for labor and making them feel comfortable moving into labor so that they can begin to think about what's going to happen postpartum and how can they prepare for that period. So another thing that we hear a lot kind of in our own echo chambers on social media is don't wait for the 6-week follow-up, right? There's kind of this arbitrary line of 6 weeks postpartum is when you go to your physician and they clear you for exercise, sex, and all other things. You are cleared, good to go, enjoy your life. We, on the rehab side of things, understand just like having a surgery or just like having a traumatic injury, just 6 weeks with no preparation work leading up to that, it's not like the time point gets them ready to go, and boom, you hit 6 weeks, and okay, now you're ready. We as rehab professionals understand that, and so it irritates us it, the when it's kind of set up like that. So what we want to have is that telehealth visit at 2 weeks postpartum, or bring them in with their baby at 3 weeks postpartum or 1 week postpartum. Like, we want to have those contact points early on in that first 6 week, 12-week window, before maybe they're cleared for exercise, before they are having that touch point with their physician, so that maybe they can bring more information to that visit, and that visit could be even better served for them. So we want all of these things for our communities, for our clients, but how do we get them to understand all of these things? And that's where these labor preparation visits come in. So in the last several months, we've been, as a faculty, talking about preparing our clients for labor and having these visits with our patients. And really, we're having a lot of success with this. And so I just wanted to talk a little bit about what that looks like, about how to get them into your doors, and about how to really educate them on these things that, as therapists and rehab professionals, that get under our skin. Like, how can we prepare them so that they can do everything as ideal as possible during labor, in those last few weeks of pregnancy, during labor, and postpartum, before they return to see you again. So I've broken it down into essentially 2 visits, and that's generally what I'm doing in my practice, although it can really vary depending on, of course, the individual in front of you, or when they happen to come in to see you for this preparation visit. So I'm going to talk today in kind of 2 visits worth, but understand that this could occur in several different ways. So visit 1, we are going to talk through perineal massage. We're going to talk through, and I'll discuss what that means here in a second for those who may not understand. We're going to talk about how to contract and relax the pelvic floor in preparation for labor. And we're going to facilitate their exercise, their activity levels in these last several weeks of their pregnancy, leading up to their birth. That's visit 1. Visit 2, we're going to talk through the stages of labor. Do you understand what you're about to go through? Kind of from like a scientific, an anatomical, a physiological way. Oftentimes they don't. Oftentimes they've got a visual from Hollywood, which is not at all soothing, not at all really representative of the whole picture of what labor is. So educating them on the stages of labor, talking through pushing strategies for them based off of whether or not they're desiring an epidural, what to expect if they choose to have a C-section, if that is already currently planned, or if they know that that's at risk, if they're at risk for that, talking through what to expect here. And then the biggest thing here is really talking through what to expect in those early postpartum days. So often as we're hearing people discuss their birth stories, kind of on the back side of things, looking back, what they're saying is they had no idea on those early days postpartum that they were going to be going through this roller coaster of emotions. They had no idea how sore they were going to feel. There were so many unexpected things in those first few days that when we lay those out in front of them beforehand, they're so much more manageable. They're less scary. Oh, she told me I was going to experience this. Okay. It doesn't mean it makes it any easier to go through, but when we have those expectations set appropriately, it definitely gives them the tools to manage that. And that's what we're after, right? So diving in a little bit in more depth here, that first visit, the perineal massage, what that is the client understands how to use their fingers to add a stretch around the vaginal opening so that they can get used to what that's going to feel like when it expands 300%. And so that they can understand, okay, that is uncomfortable. That may actually even feel like something is tearing, but I'm using a mirror, I'm using my fingers. I understand this connection, this feeling. I'm going to breathe through that. Okay, I'm not tearing. I can continue. I'm not damaging myself. We're going to keep going. Understanding that is huge for people. And oftentimes we'll see handouts about perineal massage, and that's great. However, I I think that we really need to get in and troubleshoot with the client. They are very pregnant. Oftentimes when we are getting them to work on this perineal massage and getting your hands around a pregnant belly and into the vaginal opening, that's pretty challenging. And oftentimes you're going to see all this tension in their shoulders and all this tension in their face, and they're doing all of this work up here to do what you've asked them to do down there. And so we want to facilitate, okay, you've got it there. Now let's calm, let's breathe, relax the tension in your jaw, relax the tension in your forehead and your shoulders. And all of this, we're truly preparing them for labor. So I would encourage you to get with your clients to talk them through that. You don't have to do any internal pelvic work to talk them and prepare them through that. This is very, very helpful for them to utilize in their last weeks leading up to their labor. Secondarily, on that visit once, we've got perineal massage, we've got how to contract and relax the pelvic floor. Many individuals, and kind of depending on if you've seen this person before or if this was what got them in the door with you, they may or may not have been doing some Kegels, some contractions, bringing that pelvic floor up towards their head, right? What we need to teach them to do for labor preparation is how to bring that pelvic floor down, how to push, how to relax the pelvic floor. Teaching them that contracting, what they've been doing potentially throughout pregnancy to keep their pelvic floor nice and strong, to keep from incontinence, we need to teach them the opposite in preparation for that labor. Teaching them that we've got to relax so that baby can come out. Teaching them how to breathe through that, contracting, relaxing, utilizing their abdomen, gaining that coordination, that motor control and body awareness between breath, between pelvic floor, between abs, and all of the muscles involved is extremely valuable. And this is one of those things that if they're in active labor and they're trying to figure this out, yikes, there's a lot going on. There's a totally different vibe, a totally different environment, which is not necessarily conducive for learning a new motor skill. So teaching this on the front end is very, very beneficial. And then that's their homework, going through and working on that. Of course, that third piece of this labor prep is to facilitate that physical activity, their exercise in these last several weeks. What are you struggling with? Are you able to get into the gym as much as you wish? Are you having any leaking while you're going? What kind of modifications do we need to make? These are the things that they may not be coming in to see you for in their third trimester, in the weeks leading up to labor. But when you add that value on top of that visit, you can really improve their quality of life in these last several weeks. So that's kind of a deeper dive into that first visit. And then that second visit, those three components, the education on the stages of labor, the physiology of that, giving them that understanding is really going to help many people really go through that in a different kind of way, and they're able to understand that. And so often we think we have to kind of dumb it down for patients, and or use layman's terms, and I value that in a large degree. But when you've got that one-on-one experience, you can really tailor it to them, and you can kind of get a feel for whether or not this individual can understand and take in quite a bit more. This is where the whiteboard comes in really handy. I don't know about you, but when I'm hearing someone talk and teach, I am not just an auditory learner. I like to have that visual to help me understand and to really take it with me when I leave. I got to see it, or I got to write it down. I've got to get my other senses involved in this learning experience. We did that in PT school. We understand that. To think that we could just sit in front of our patient and talk to them for an hour about this with no handout, with no added materials to help them understand it, we're missing a big piece if we're doing that. So use a whiteboard, use your markers, draw pictures, draw your list out. And oftentimes what the client does is, hey, can I take a picture of that before I leave? Absolutely take a picture of it. Use that, come back to that. This is labor preparation. This is individualized to them. We talk about the pushing strategies after they've had that first visit where they're working on contracting and relaxing the pelvic floor. Then we come back and we look at, okay, I want you to practice some pushing strategies. Closed glottis, open glottis, a mixture of the two. Let's practice both of those so that you've got a wide variety of options to use during your labor. And then, of course, what to expect postpartum. And we can go so many directions with this, and tailoring it to that individual in front of you. Let's say they've had neck pain that you've treated them for a year ago. It is very important to educate them that, okay, you're going to be spending a lot of your time here. So let's do some chin retractions. Let's work that shoulder. Let's prepare them musculoskeletally. Preparing them for what's going on emotionally or mentally. All of these things are very, very key. And teaching them the difference in that, the postpartum blues and postpartum depression. And helping them understand, reach out to me. I'm your person. You've got your physician as well. Use us. I want to help you be as successful and as you as possible during this time. So those are the ways we break this down and prepare them for labor. It's highly educational visits. We're using the whiteboard. Sometimes we're recommending books to read or chapters, or letting them borrow a book and bring them back to you and letting them go through and kind of understand on a deeper level. Sometimes we even bring in a spouse or a mom or a friend, whoever is going to be present for their actual day of delivery, having them present so that they can understand this too. These classes or these visits are kind of like the classes that people take for birth preparation. But this is so much better because it's one-on-one. You're actually seeing them. You know them. You've done a body chart. You understand their entire musculoskeletal history and symptoms and issues. And you're preparing them for their pelvic floor. And you're telling them, okay, here's what to expect. Here's when I want to see you. I'm going to reach out to you about mid-September. I want to hear from you. How are you doing? We'll see at that point what kind of delivery you had and what kind of rehab you're going to need. And from there, we really set them up for success. It's so much better to get in on this front end, to prepare them, to let them know when to reach out to you, versus on the back end, shouting on social media, I wish people would come to us. I want people to come to us. You don't need to wait for that 6-week, like all of that on the back end, it's just not doing anything. So let's go in on the front end. Let's get these pregnant people into our offices. Let's advertise for labor preparation, and let's get them in to the doors and really provide them all of these skill sets, all of this knowledge to help them be successful. So I would love to hear from you. Comment on the video below. Are you doing these labor preparation visits? What are you adding that I didn't talk about today? And how is this going to change what you're doing in the future? I would love to hear from you all and really help us all grow our practices even better. So if all of that was a little bit overwhelming for you, you're interested but you need more information, consider signing up for our 8-week cohort. We go through all of these things in our online course, and we would love to have you in it. So with that, I'm going to hop off of here. Happy Monday, happy Labor Day, and have a great week. We'll catch you later.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the PT on Ice Daily Show. If you enjoyed this content, head on over to iTunes and leave us a review. And be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at the Institute of Clinical Excellence. If you're interested in getting plugged into more ICE content on a weekly basis while earning CEUs from home, check out our virtual ICE online mentorship program at ptonice.com. While you're there, sign up for our Hump Day Hustling newsletter for a free email every Wednesday morning with our top 5 research articles and social media posts that we think are worth reading. Head over to ptonice.com and scroll to the bottom of the page to sign up.